Hello friends, acquaintances, and enemies of all ages. My name is Combat Bird, and this is Let's Get Physical, the series where I go over my favorite physics games or the ones you all recommend to me. Today, I Am Bread. No, the game is called I Am Bread. Why would it be called that? Fine. Today, we will be playing I Am Bread. So what do you do in I Am Bread? Well, shockingly enough, you are bread, and your goal is to become a piece of delicious, delicious toast. You do this by navigating various areas that you'd typically find in a nice home, looking for something to heat you up. However, you want to make sure that you don't touch anything that could make your bread inedible. Things like ants, the floor, and anything else that would be typically dirty. So things like the filthy walls, fence posts, or the top of your car are totally fair game. Nope, these won't make your bread gross at all. In fact, I prefer my bread that way. Really does add to the flavor. But God forbid you let your bread touch water and become soggy. No one likes soggy bread. These levels get increasingly difficult as you progress, having more contaminated areas and longer treks to your goal. As an example of this difficulty spike, in level 1 you have a toaster that's been left on, sitting on the other side of the room. But by some of the later levels, you have to do things like breaking into a car, starting its engine, and then cooking yourself on the hood. It's a bit ridiculous, but totally adds to the fun. Now I should mention, I Am Bread got some mixed reviews upon release, getting a 5 out of 10 from GameSpot, 60% on Metacritic, and is currently sitting at a 7 out of 10 on Steam. This typically stems from one thing: difficult controls. Not because they're badly programmed, not because they're hard to understand, but because they're difficult to master. The game was made by the creators of Surgeon Simulator, so you know you're in for a bit of a ride. I personally didn't have too much trouble with the controls, and it kind of feels a bit unfair to give the game a negative review for them, but maybe that's just because the difficult controls genre is becoming more and more popular, with games like Getting Over It and the like. But regardless, let it be known that this game has a little bit of a learning curve for its controls, but once you get the hang of them mentally, it's really not too bad. Alright, let's go over the other wonderful modes this game has to offer, and there are a lot of them. Over the past couple of years, they've added more and more content to keep me coming back. Firstly, we have a mode that's a bit more fast-paced: Bagel Race. In this mode, you play as a bagel that needs to roll forward in a race to the finish, breaking plates along the way. This mode is a ton of fun, and while I wasn't too concerned with my score in the main game, I constantly replayed levels here to improve my time. Next, we have Rampage, where you play as a singular baguette, with no other goal than to destroy as many items as you can in the time limit. You'll build up a combo meter as you go, increasing the value of each additional object you destroy. This mode is another really good addition to the game, and similarly to Bagel Race, has a ton of replay value. The next game mode on our list is Cheese Hunt. This one I'm not quite as fond of. You play as a cracker that needs to find all the pieces of cheese hidden throughout the level. You don't become less edible, but if you take repeated drops, you'll begin to lose integrity, and as such, this kind of slows the mode down. Fun for a once through, but especially after completing the main game, this can feel a bit lackluster and time consuming. And there are still more game modes. Next we have ZeroG, which are the same levels you played before, but this time there's no gravity and your controls are now thrusters on your bread. I find these controls 10 times harder to get used to than the original ones, but it's still totally worth playing and is basically a whole new game at this point. Okay, and the last main mode we have is just a basic free roam in case you wanted to get a better look at any of the levels. Now, as I said, those were the main game modes, but we also have 3 spin-off modes that we should go over real quick. First, we have the TF2 mode, which is basically an extra level, but instead of trying to become toast, we must become sandwich. It's a pretty easy level, but it's a nice little homage to Team Fortress, similar to the one that Bossa Studios had in Surgeon Simulator. Next is a crossover with Goat Simulator, where you play the Rampage game mode from before, but this time, you're a full-on goat. I don't even know what to say about this. What you see is what you get, I suppose. It's as hard to control as ever, but somehow really satisfying. And last but not least, arguably the best spin-off mode, we have Starch Wars, which is a parody of, well, I'm sure you can figure that part out. This mode was an incredibly unexpected addition and is such a drastic change from any of the other modes. You take control of a bread fighter in some legitimate flight fighter gameplay. My god, I really didn't expect to have to talk so much about such a simple game, but it just goes to show that with the right developers, you can take a really simple concept and turn it into an awesome game. It's only $13 on Steam right now, and I highly recommend you try it. Just keep an open mind and expect a challenge. You won't be disappointed. Thank you all so much for watching, Leave any game you think that I should go over down in the comments below, and as always, have a wonderful rest of your day.